Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Jupiter conjunct one's natal Pluto. Now, when you have transits that involve Jupiter, it can be about enlargement, expansion, expanding horizons, exuberance, enthusiasm, optimism, and even hope. Now, when you have transit Jupiter conjoin your natal Pluto, well, this could be about enlargement, expansion, expanding horizons, exuberance, enthusiasm, optimism, even hope in matters connected with transformation. If you're making a major change in your life, if you have this in the fifth house, say it could be over a love or romantic connection. Um, it might be, Pluto is also about rebirth and regeneration. So it can also be putting a lot of exuberance in those things and optimism. If you're Maybe it could be, say if it's in the 10th house, it could be the resurrection of a career. Say if it's in Scorpio in the 10th house, it could be one connected, say with locksmithing or working in a death profession like a coroner or some kind of investigation, deep research, the occult, which includes astrology. Um, it could also be just in matters connected with death as well. And the thing about this is, we probably wonder, well, how can that be connected? What I described with Jupiter be connected with death. But the thing is, it could be where it could be about situation where maybe the death of it could not necessarily literal death, but it could be like a figurative death, like ending something, obliterating something in your life, something that's been to your detriment. And it could be where there's more optimism at this point in doing so. I mean, if it's in the seventh house, it could be a relationship. Maybe that was to your detriment, or in the fourth house, it could be a home situation that hadn't been working out for you. And and the thing about this is as well. It could enlarge issues. Maybe somebody you might know as far as a death goes, or increase that propensity because Jupiter does enlarge things. It's not always benign and benevolent. It could have the tendency to enlarge as well, and that could even be negative things. Now, another thing too is that Pluto is connected with power and control, so it could be a time too where this could be fortuitous for those issues. Whether if it's in the fifth house, it could be control of your love life, or the sixth house, having more control at your place of employment. Uh, and also too, this is about Pluto can be connected with support, whether it's moral, emotional, or monetary. So it could be, in some cases, it could be where you might, Jupiter's prosperity, so it can be where you get maybe an abundance of monetary support, especially if you're in a situation that requires it. Say if you're in a homeless situation, or you're in dire straits, you're in like mega debt. This could be the time where it could be very auspicious for getting that monetary support in connection with that, or even an abundance of moral support if you're down and out and you're feeling despondent. It could be that time where the people, maybe even people that you didn't anticipate would be there for you, may actually be there at this time. Now, another thing too is that Pluto is also connected with insurance. So some cases this might actually enlarge insurance matters. I've stated in previous videos, Jupiter, though it's strongly benign and benevolent, it could have the tendency to enlarge and expand. It could enlarge matters connected with insurance, but and the thing about, and it could be maybe making more claims than you thought was necessary, or it could be a situation where maybe money comes in from an insurance claim at this time. Also, too, Pluto, anatomically speaking, can be connected with the colon, the prostate, the bladder, the reproductive system. So this could be about a time where those, you could be more hope in connection with that if you're having some issue with one of those things I had mentioned. Anatomically connected with Pluto, especially say if this falls in your first or your sixth house in your natal chart. Um, It could be something, first house, of course, connected with the physical body. Sixth house can be associated with physical issues and debilitations. Maybe, or it could be, sometimes it can simply enlarge those issues, like enlarge prostate, if that's actually possible, but it can make them worse at times. But if you're having like surgery, well, on it, well, it might go the other way, because remember, Jupiter is, I'm sorry, conjunctions in astrology are basically, they're neutral. They can be good or bad. And so anyway, also too, uh, Pluto can be about crisis as well. So, I mean, it could work one way or another. It could be where it might be fortuitous for dealing with matters connected with crisis, or it could simply be, it might enlarge crisis related issues. A lot of this can be predicated and dependent on aspects that this makes to points in your chart. Now, another way this can manifest, you might feel more exuberant and enthusiastic about making a major change in your life, ending something, obliterating something, putting something to a figurative death. You know, if it's the fourth house, it could be a home situation, or a second house, it could be a monetary situation, maybe a value, maybe that wasn't working for you and it's run its course. Uh, 11th house, it could be like a friendship or a goal or aspiration or an acquaintance. Um, some cases too, this could also, I mean, say if this, let's say for example, this falls in Scorpio in the second house in your natal chart, it could be something like compulsive, which is Scorpio, and hoarding possessions, and possessions of course could be with the second house. It might be a time where you might have more optimism in ending something like that, more so than usual. Now, but it could also expand obsessive and fixated tendencies, because Pluto can be associated with fixation and obsession. It can be, say if it's in Virgo in the fifth house in your natal chart, it could be maybe doing some kind of analytical or intellectual enjoyment or amusement, like could even be extrapolating sports data, like what I do, like when I do my NFL prediction videos during the football NFL season. This could also be a time, I mean, say if it's in Libra in the fifth house, it could be maybe something with like a Libra-like sport, which might be tennis or gymnastics, because those are connected with balance, and the fifth house, of course, is associated with sports. So anyway, also too, Jupiter is connected with veracity and truth, so it could be a time where the truth may be unveiled. It could be about a death. Um, it could be an inheritance situation or an insurance matter. Say if it falls in the 12th house, if it's something where you've been pondering about how somebody may have died, it falls in the 12th house, it could be by suicide. It might be revealed as an example. Um, this is something too, as well. I mean, another way this transit could manifest, it might be a time where you might be more philosophical about death, life and death in general, the occult, which includes astrology at this time. It can be also too, as well, I mean, this could also be fortuitous for deep research, and you're trying to get to the bottom of things. Pluto is about going beyond what's superficial, the surface, and maybe it's even going on the dark web, maybe in some cases. But I mean, say if it falls in the fourth house in your natal chart, it could be deep research, maybe in your ancestry or your roots. It could be if you're trying to find like a criminal background on a family member, someone you're close to home with. Um, if it's in the third house, it might be somebody that was prominent in your early education, or a neighbor even. And if say if it falls in Scorpio, it might be done with very fixated and relentless energy. Now, at the same time, as I've talked about before, that Jupiter can have the propensity to enlarge things. Some cases, this might enlarge crime or corruption. If it's in your third house, going back to that house, it could be, in your neighborhood, perhaps. Um, and also, too, in isolated and remote cases, it might enlarge or expand Jupiter-related health issues. I'm sorry, Pluto-related health issues. It could be something. Hold on a minute, people. It could be something, for example, the colon or the prostate, the bladder, the reproductive system. Um, Pluto is also associated with surgery, and it could be a time where isolated remote cases. It could be surgery on something Jupiter related. Maybe there's something with the liver, the pancreas, the hip, the sciatic nerve. Um, it could be something, again, just something what I just described. Could also be a time too where you guard against indoctrination or forcibly trying to convince others of your beliefs, whether they might be religious or what have you, your philosophies in general. There's no, if somebody doesn't agree with you, something might be best just to let it go because I mean, Pluto could be very forceful energy. Jupiter, of course, is about philosophy, it's about religion, and it's just a time where it may not be worth getting into a contentious situation with somebody over philosophical differences. So, I mean, there's no. Pluto is also about coercion, so in bullying. So in some cases, this could actually, Jupiter is about enlargement, Pluto again being connected with coercion, bullying. It could enlarge situations with that, not necessarily by you, but it could be to you. If you have this in your fifth house, your natal chart, if you have a child, it might be a child that might be more susceptible to this at the time. Say if it's in the 11th house, it might be a stepchild. Um, that might be involved in this, whether it's the child doing it, or it may number of other cases might be the child, maybe being stepchild being bullied at this time. So those are some things to look at as far as how this could pan out. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.